are up to speed on it. A lot of times Friday kind of gets taken for granted in the news cycles. And there's oftentimes some interesting things that actually come about on Friday afternoons. So we got our eye on it for you. From New York, Kevin McCullough, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing everything that you can each day to muscle up your mind, to take confusion and to obliterate it, just kill it, and to replace that with clarity and to become a clear thinker, as we like to call them around these parts, a binge thinker. As I said, Kevin McCullough, my name, and my phone number is 888-589-8840. As you want to be part of the conversation today, I want you to be part of the conversation today. And on Fridays, I also let you weigh in on anything else that we've talked about during the week. Let me just tell you, I've got so many stories that I want to try to put in front of you today. I may not have time to get to all of them, but every single one of them are important, friend, and I wouldn't feel such a strong burden to tell you that if we don't get to all of them today, then make sure you get online or on radio tonight for the Kevin McCullough Show, because we will complete the cycle of the stories. But yesterday, I was at home last evening, and I popped over online just to see if anything was going on. I turned all electronics off earlier in the evening, and I was so happy and peaceful, and just the lovely bride and I got the ankle biters in bed, and we were just so happy. And she got up to, I don't know, go to the ladies' room or something, and I pulled my phone out and said, well, I'll just see what's going on. And I pull up a story that I literally said, holy cow. It was on CNET, which is, you kind of got to be a computer code writing nerd to really read CNET on a regular basis, which I am not. But the story was significant enough that I immediately posted it on Facebook, and I think I also added it to the afatoday.com site. But the U.S. government has demanded that major internet companies divulge users' stored passwords. And we are now getting this from two sources that are familiar with these orders, and it represents an escalation in surveillance technologies that had not been previously disclosed. So let me just put this out there for you. We already know about the NSA spying. We know that the IRS was used to wrongfully target predominantly conservative groups, and even when liberals tried to come back and say, no, there were liberal groups targeted as well. There really weren't. That was just a big ball of nothing. When you looked at the percentages, it was like out of over 600 organizations that we have exact records for that were targeted versus like 2. That is literally statistically not even relevant. But you had those. Then you had the Justice Department spying on the reporters, taking all of the metadata from phone calls and reporters called phone numbers and everything else from the Associated Press. And then you had Eric Holder go before the FISA court and lie about James Rosen and say he's a threat to society and we have to spy on him for this reason. And then it came out that it wasn't just the Associated Press that had their metadata lifted. It was everyone that subscribed, we know so far, to at least Verizon phone lines. And what we don't know, but there's a very good possibility of, is that there are a number of other national carriers, Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, that likely have had the same interaction with the Justice Department. We just haven't had it revealed as of yet. So this may just seem like another long train car in the long story that has continued to lengthen and get longer and longer about the government trying to intrude upon you. But friends, when they begin to ask for your passwords to things, I really do feel like you need to understand and be aware. We had Brooke Goldstein on the first of this week, and she said that the way that the government is playing all of this, they're saying, well, because you are involved with a third-party provider, there is no more reasonable expectation to privacy. Friends, two things become increasingly clear. Number one, we live in an electronic age that is not going to go backwards again. The web has flattened all of society. No one is going to go back to the day and age in which we didn't use computers. So for everyone that is out in a cow field right now going, see, I told you them computers were going to be the downfall of all of us, that's not helpful. That's not helpful. you're never going to have a society in the world anymore that does not operate in the vacuum of the internet or the web or online stuff. You know that we talk about filters all the time. That is fantastic for the safety and security of what your children see online and how you protect them from it. But we need to develop. What we need are some entrepreneurs that are going to grow up and develop some other filters that work other ways, and that is to keep government from getting into our stuff. To go and to flat out ask, Facebook or Google or Yahoo or I don't know, AOL or instant messaging or whatever you use to communicate online, and to say you must turn over the passwords to your subscribers. Friends, this is getting into the realm of the lunatic, and it must be stopped. So congressmen and senators need to be alerted to the fact that the DOJ has asked for this, actually demanded it from companies, and we need to have some real action in Washington, D.C. that prevents the government from getting involved in every nook and cranny of every little thing that is going on in our lives. And having access to our passwords for our online Twitter feeds, Facebook, whatever, that's none of their business. Unless you can go to a court and prove that a Facebook page is, demonstrating a viable threat, Mohammed Akbed Alamag, whatever his name is, and he has big pictures of missiles and like maps, and he's going to blow stuff up. You pretty much should not have the right as the government to come into someone's Facebook page. And that's why the FISA court was set up, so that on a case-by-case basis, someone, an objective person, would look at it and say, nah, that doesn't really pose a threat. Of course, it doesn't help when the Department of Justice is lying to the courts to try to get this involved. But this is a really legitimate, important, powerful story. I've not heard it talked about today on news, and it needs to be not only made aware of, but also discussed. And so go to afatoday.com, read the entire article on the CNET website, and at the end they even try to kind of discount the importance of it, but the lead is too big. The lead is, if the government is demanding that these companies turn over the private passwords of the individual subscribers, this is way too far around the bend. My pictures of the ankle biters going to the father of the bride and back in our discussions about I don't know, politics and other things that we may do online, that has no business being discerned or discovered by the government. None. 888-589-8840. Perhaps you disagree. But if the government's going to tell all of the online companies that have subscribers that you have to turn over not only usernames, but the passwords to those accounts, friends, we are no longer living in America. The Fourth Amendment has absolutely no impact on our lives. So that's just one of the stories that I was getting rather vexed about within the last 24 hours. Another one, and I put this link up on the Facebook page as well. I think it's on the Kevin McCullough page and the AFAtoday.com page. The guys over at the Media Research Council, the Brent Bozell Group, they went out and they had a guy pose as a college student, and he took a clipboard with him, and he went up and asked college students if they were in favor of supporting the rights for fourth trimester abortions. And he only was asked about it by a couple of people, but when he was like, well, that's after they're born. And friends, college students that are paying tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for their college education at prominent universities, friends, that are sitting at the feet of, quote, highly learned people that used to, in the university environment, teach young people critical thinking. They used to teach young people logic, rational thought, critical analysis. This is what they used to teach on the university campus. Now they just teach them what you're supposed to believe, and if you violate that, then, everybody's head starts to explode. But these students actually signed a petition in favor of fourth trimester abortions. which would be murdering children outside the womb. And they're like, yeah, well, I support a woman's right to choose, and they're signing. I'm curious, what does that mean to you? That university students that are pro quote choice cannot discern the difference between a child that is outside the womb and a child that is inside the womb. Is that a troubling reality? I'm very grateful that the Media Research Center did this video. We've got a couple of other stories that I want to get to as well. There's a gay Filipino, a Filipino who engages in homosexual behavior. He's not extraordinarily happy, which is the actual meaning of the word gay. And he has petitioned the U.S. government to not force him to go home, even though he's an illegal alien. He's been busted for drug possession and selling and other things several times. He's been, because of drug convictions, set up for deportation. But he went to the San Francisco-based U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and said that in the Philippines he would be harassed and denied work because he likes to have sex with other men. That's the basis for his plea to prevent deportation. In this particular story, the U.S. government is they have spared him from deportation based on the fact that he will not be put in prison or anything like that. He will simply be harassed and denied work for loving to have the sex with the other men. Now, side by side that story with the German family, the Ramke family, that moved here because the German government actually wanted to criminalize their parents' behavior for desiring to homeschool their kids and not sending them to the German approved school systems, which is a law that was developed under the Nazis. And the Obama administration has ignored this family's plight. Now they're taking it to the Supreme Court because a lower court said they had to go. But the Filipino man who likes to have sex with the other men, we can spare him from deportation, not because of government's harassment, but because of the culture. The people there might not be down with his behavior, so that he says he's going to be harassed and denied work. So all of a sudden, he has drug convictions in America. He has a record in America, and all of a sudden, that harassment in his home country is now our problem. Help me understand what's being thought about there, because I can't figure it out to save my life. Anyway, we've got that and much more, and we're just going to take your phone calls. And I've got another story I got to get to you. Franklin Graham is going after the administration for a very specific reason. And I actually think that Franklin Graham has the right to do this. All this and more on today's edition of AFA Today. So glad that you're with us. And don't forget, go to onenewsnow.com and vote in today's poll because it's an interesting one. You want to check that out, onenewsnow.com. Kevin McCullough coming right back from New York on AFA Today.